He walked into the bank wearing dusty boots and a faded shirt, and the room decided his worth in less than 3 seconds. People laughed, a manager mocked him, someone even joked about paying him double if he actually had the money. What they didn't know was that this quiet black farmer wasn't there to beg, argue, or explain himself. He was there to watch, to listen, to see exactly how people behave when they think power will never answer back. And when the truth finally surfaced, one sentence cut through the marble lobby like a blade. "I didn't come here to prove who I am. I came to see how you treat people when you think they don't matter." From that moment on, careers collapsed, secrets surfaced, and a bank built on appearances was forced to confront its own reflection. Would you have spoken up or stayed silent? And what happens when dignity walks in wearing clothes you don't respect? Raymond Jefferson had learned long ago how to read a room before a word was spoken. At 68, a black farmer with weathered hands and a quiet posture didn't need raised voices to recognize judgment. He knew it in the way conversations paused when he entered, in the subtle shift of bodies, in the polite smiles that never quite reached the eyes. The Summit Ridge Bank branch in uptown Dallas was all glass and marble, built to impress people who already believed they belonged there. Soft jazz floated through the air, carefully calibrated to sound expensive. Suits and heels moved with practiced confidence across polished floors. And then Ray walked in. He wore a faded plaid shirt, clean but clearly old. His straw hat had been patched twice. His boots still carried the dust of East Texas soil, no matter how carefully he wiped them outside. He paused just inside the door, letting the cold air settle against his skin, then stepped forward calmly. The room reacted instantly. A woman clutching a designer purse angled her body away. A man in a tailored navy suit frowned, as if something out of place had offended him personally. A few whispers rippled through the lobby, quiet but sharp. Ray noticed all of it. He always did. He approached the counter and removed his hat out of habit, the way his father had taught him. Respect first. Always. "Good morning," he said evenly. "I'd like to make a transfer from my account." Behind the counter, Brianna West glanced at him, then down at his boots. Her smile tightened, professional but thin. "Of course," she said. "May I ask, how much?" $15 million, Ray replied. "I need it completed today, before 2. For a fraction of a second, the entire lobby froze. Then laughter broke the silence. It came from the glass office to the right. Tyler Ashford stepped out, straightening the cuff of his Italian suit like he was preparing for a performance. At 35, Tyler wore success loudly. Polished shoes, sharp haircut, the confidence of a man who believed the world had already agreed with him. "Did I hear that right?" Tyler said, smiling broadly. 15 million? He looked around, inviting others into the joke. "If you've got that kind of balance," he added, voice dripping with amusement, "I'll personally double it for you." A few people chuckled, not because it was funny, but because laughing felt safer than not. Ray didn't smile. He didn't bristle either. He simply met Tyler's eyes. "It's 15 million, he repeated calmly. "You're welcome to verify the account." Tyler's grin sharpened. "Sir," he said, lowering his voice just enough to sound patronizing rather than outright rude, "large transfers like that require special handling." He turned to Brianna. "Bring the compliance packet." Brianna disappeared and returned with a stack of forms thick enough to make a statement. 17 documents, she said brightly, plus proof of income, tax filings, property deeds, and enhanced KYC verification. Ray glanced at the stack, then back up. "Are these required for everyone?" he asked. "Or only for people who look like me?" The air shifted. Tyler's smile faltered, just slightly, before hardening again. "These are standard procedures," he said quickly, "designed to protect the bank and our clients." Ray nodded slowly. "Interesting, because I transferred 20 million from this same account last week. No forms, no delays." Tyler's jaw tightened. "Well," he said, "policies change." Ray studied him for a long moment. He saw what he'd seen his entire life, power disguised as professionalism, bias hidden behind rules. "I understand," Ray said. "Then I'll speak with the regional director." Tyler laughed again, louder this time. "He's unavailable. Meetings all day." "I'll wait." Before Tyler could respond, Ray walked past the counter and sat down in one of the private banking leather chairs. He crossed his legs comfortably, like someone with time on his side. The gesture unsettled the room. Security shifted closer. A few clients stared openly now. Tyler felt control slipping through his fingers, and it made his skin crawl. "Sir," he snapped, "you're creating discomfort for other clients." Ray looked up at him, voice steady. "I'm sitting quietly." Tyler opened his mouth to respond when Denise Hartwell, the floor supervisor, hurried over with a tablet in her hands. Her face was pale. "Tyler," she whispered urgently, "his account history, it's extensive. Weekly 7-figure transactions. Premium status." Tyler blinked. "That can't be right." Denise nodded, swallowing hard. "It's all legitimate." Brianna leaned over, curiosity overpowering caution. "The account's in his name," she added softly. "Personal." The laughter in the room died. Tyler's phone vibrated in his pocket. He answered. "Stephen Caldwell," came the voice on the other end. "Is Raymond Jefferson at your branch right now?" Tyler felt a chill run through him. "Yes," he said. "He's—" "Hand him the phone," Stephen interrupted. "Immediately." Tyler hesitated. "Sir, now." The word echoed through the receiver loud enough for Denise to hear. Tyler walked toward Ray like a man walking toward judgment. His hands trembled as he held out the phone. "Mr. Jefferson," he said, barely able to keep his voice from cracking, "the regional director would like to speak with you." Ray took the phone calmly. "Stephen," he said warmly, "how's your mother?" Several people sucked in a breath. Tyler's face drained of color. Ray listened, nodded once, then spoke quietly. "No, don't come down. I'm seeing what I needed to see." He handed the phone back. The lobby was silent. Ray reached into his shirt pocket and pulled out a modest tablet, its screen scratched from years of use. He tapped twice and turned it toward Tyler. "My name is Raymond Jefferson," he said evenly, "and I am the majority shareholder of Summit Ridge Bank." Documents filled the screen. Ownership records. Board filings. 43%. Tyler stumbled back a step. The room held its breath. Ray stood, placing his hat back on his head. "I didn't come here to prove who I am," he said softly. "I came to see how you treat people when you think they don't matter." And with that, the first crack in the marble finally appeared. Some people are only polite when they think it benefits them. Others show you exactly who they are the moment they believe you don't belong. Now let me ask you, do you believe Ray would have been treated the same way if he didn't look like a poor black farmer? Yes or no? Raymond Jefferson didn't raise his voice after revealing who he was. He didn't need to. The words majority shareholder of Summit Ridge Bank hung in the air like a pressure drop before a storm. For a few seconds, no one moved. No one breathed loudly. Even the soft jazz that had been playing through the speakers felt suddenly inappropriate, like background music at a funeral. Tyler Ashford stood frozen, staring at the tablet in Ray's hands as if it might disappear if he looked long enough. His confidence, built over years of talking down to people who couldn't push back, began to crack in visible layers. That has to be some kind of mistake," Tyler finally said. His voice sounded thinner than it had a minute ago, and anyone can pull documents off the internet. Ray didn't respond immediately. He simply locked the tablet and slipped it back into his pocket, the way a man puts away something fragile, not because it's weak, but because it doesn't need to be shown twice. Denise Hartwell cleared her throat nervously. "Tyler," she whispered, "the system flags confirm it. Board-level access. His voting power is enormous." A murmur rippled through the lobby. The same people who had laughed earlier now avoided eye contact. Veronica Blakely, still gripping her purse, looked like she'd swallowed something sour. Curtis Langston shifted his weight, already calculating how much damage this moment could do to his reputation if it left this building. Ray looked around slowly. He wasn't angry. That was the part that made everyone uncomfortable. "I want you all to understand something," he said, his voice calm but firm. "I didn't come in here today planning to reveal who I am." He turned his gaze toward Tyler. "I came dressed exactly like I always do, because this is who I am, and I wanted to see how your bank treats someone like me when you don't think there are consequences." Tyler swallowed hard. "Mr. Jefferson, I sincerely apologize if anything I said came across the wrong way. We're just Very careful with large transactions. Ray tilted his head slightly. Careful with money, he repeated. Or careful with people. Silence answered him. Tessa Morgan, who had been standing near the edge of the group, stepped forward again. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her throat, but she didn't stop. With all due respect, she said, addressing Tyler, none of that paperwork was required for Mr. Caldwell last week, or the Whitaker family, or half the people standing in this room. Tyler snapped his head toward her. Tessa, this isn't your place. Ray raised a hand. It is now. Tessa took a breath. We were trained to read the room, to manage perceptions, but that just means judging people before they speak. Denise looked at her like she'd betrayed the family. Ray nodded once. Thank you for being honest. Tyler's face flushed. You don't understand how much pressure we're under, he said, desperation creeping into his voice. Regulators, audits, public image. Ray stepped closer, his boots echoing softly on the marble floor. I understand pressure, he said. I grew up under it. The room leaned in, whether they wanted to or not. I was born to parents who worked land they didn't own, Ray continued. My father taught me how to wake up before dawn. My mother taught me how to read by candlelight. I learned early that the world would measure me before it ever listened to me. He glanced at the security guard standing stiffly nearby. I've been followed in stores, Ray said quietly. Stopped for driving the wrong car. Spoken to like I was slow because I didn't speak loud. The guard looked down. So when I walked in here today, Ray said, I already knew how this would go. The laughter, the protocols, the way rules suddenly become flexible or rigid depending on who's standing in front of you. Tyler's voice cracked. What do you want from us? Ray didn't answer right away. He turned instead to the lobby, to the people who had participated without saying a word. Let me ask you something, he said. If I hadn't shown you that tablet, would any of you still believe I deserved respect? No one answered. That, Ray said, is the problem. His phone vibrated in his pocket. He glanced at the screen and sighed softly. They're already calling, he said, almost to himself. Tyler's knees buckled slightly as Ray answered the call on speaker. Ray, Stephen Caldwell's voice filled the room, tense and controlled. The board is aware of the situation. I'm on my way. No need, Ray replied. I'll handle it. He ended the call and turned back to Tyler. Tyler Ashford, Ray said clearly now, you built a culture here where humiliation passed for leadership, where cruelty was rewarded as confidence. Tyler shook his head, panic overtaking pride. I can fix it. I swear. I'll retrain everyone. You had years, Ray interrupted, and you chose who to be. He looked at Denise next. You watched it happen and called it procedure. Denise's eyes filled with tears. I was just following orders. Ray nodded slowly. That excuse has caused a lot of damage in history. Denise flinched. He turned back to Tessa. You, Ray said, spoke when it was uncomfortable, when it could have cost you your job. Tessa's hands trembled. I just didn't think it was right. That's leadership, Ray said. The words landed heavy. Effective immediately, Ray continued. Tyler Ashford, your employment with Summit Ridge Bank is terminated. The sentence felt final in a way no contract ever could. Tyler collapsed into a chair, head in his hands. In less than an hour, his life had unraveled. Ray didn't stop there. Denise Hartwell, he said, your supervisory role ends today. Denise sobbed quietly. Ray surveyed the room one last time. This isn't punishment, he said. It's accountability. He turned to Tessa again. Tessa Morgan, you'll be stepping into interim leadership. Regional oversight, not because you defended me, but because you defended a principle. Tessa stared at him, stunned. I don't know what to say. Ray smiled faintly. Say yes, then do better than the people before you. She nodded, tears streaming freely now. As Ray placed his hat back on his head, the marble lobby no longer felt untouchable. It felt exposed. He paused at the door, turning once more. Remember this, he said quietly. You don't become decent when power walks in. You reveal who you are when you think it never will. Then he walked out. And behind him, Summit Ridge Bank was no longer the same place it had been that morning. Raymond Jefferson didn't return to Summit Ridge Bank the next day. He didn't need to. By the following morning, the story had already started to move through the city in quiet waves. Not the version about money or stock percentages, but the version people whispered to each other over coffee and lunch. About the black farmer who walked into a marble bank and refused to shrink. About the manager who laughed. About the room that changed when truth finally stood up straight. Ray spent that morning the same way he had spent most mornings of his adult life. On his land in East Texas, boots in the dirt, the smell of hay and dew heavy in the air. He fed the cattle, checked the fences, and listened to the familiar sounds that had never judged him by his clothes or the color of his skin. For the first time in a long while, his phone kept buzzing. Messages from board members, from attorneys, from executives who suddenly wanted to align values and move forward constructively. Ray read none of them right away. He already knew what needed to be done. 3 days later, he returned to the bank. This time, the atmosphere was different before he even stepped inside. The glass doors opened, and instead of whispers, there was movement. Employees straightening, conversations pausing not out of discomfort but attention. No one laughed, no one looked away. Tessa Morgan met him halfway across the lobby. She wasn't wearing a power suit or trying to look bigger than she was. She looked tired, honest, and grounded. The kind of tired that comes from carrying responsibility with both hands. "Mr. Jefferson," she said, then stopped herself. "Ray, if that's okay." Ray smiled. "That's more than okay." She led him through the space that had once felt hostile. Ray noticed the small things, the receptionist who greeted an elderly man slowly and patiently, the security guard who held the door for a woman pushing a stroller, the absence of that cold, measuring gaze he knew too well. In the conference room upstairs, the leadership team waited, some nervous, some humbled, some still learning what humility felt like. Ray stood at the head of the table, hat resting beside him. "I'm not here to shame anyone," he began. "I'm here to reset what this place stands for." He spoke plainly, about dignity, about how discrimination doesn't always shout. It hides behind tone, behind policy, behind the word standard. About how being treated with respect should never be a reward for wealth. By the end of the meeting, changes were already in motion. Mandatory bias training tied to performance reviews, clear accountability systems, community outreach programs focused on farmers, small business owners, and families long ignored by big institutions. But Ray knew policies alone didn't change hearts. 6 months passed. Summit Ridge Bank began to look different, not just in reports, but in stories. A black single mother approved for her first small business loan after years of rejection. A retired factory worker treated with patience instead of impatience. A group of farmers attending free financial workshops hosted in the lobby every Saturday morning. Ray visited once a week, always dressed the same, always watching quietly, and every time he saw improvement. Not perfection, but progress. Meanwhile, Tyler Ashford was learning a different kind of lesson. After his termination, doors closed fast. Banks didn't want a manager whose name was now tied to discrimination. Friends who once admired his confidence stopped returning calls. His apartment felt too large, too quiet. One afternoon, months later, Tyler drove out to East Texas. He found Ray repairing a fence, sleeves rolled up, hands steady. Tyler stood there for a long moment before speaking. "I didn't come to ask for anything," he said, voice raw. "I came to say I'm sorry." Ray didn't respond immediately. He finished tightening the wire, then turned. "I believed respect was something you earned by status," Tyler continued. "I was wrong. I didn't just lose my job. I lost who I thought I was." Ray studied him, not with anger, with clarity. "Apologies don't erase harm," Ray said, "but they can be the beginning of change." Tyler nodded, tears slipping down his face. "I'm trying to be better." "That's between you and the people you meet from here on out," Ray replied. "Just remember, how you treat someone who can't give you anything back tells you everything about who you are." Tyler left lighter than he arrived. Back in Dallas, Tessa faced her own challenges. Leadership wasn't applause, it was pressure, resistance. People who smiled in meetings and complained in private. She made mistakes, she corrected them. She listened more than she spoke. One evening, after a long day, she found Ray sitting in the lobby, watching a young black boy wait while his grandmother finished paperwork. "They look comfortable here," Tessa said quietly. Ray nodded. That's how you know it's working. A year after that first morning, Ray decided to test the bank one last time. He walked in unannounced, same clothes, same boots. No one knew who he was. The receptionist smiled warmly. "Good morning, sir. How can we help you today?" Ray removed his hat. "I need to ask a few questions," he said. "Take your time," she replied. "We're here." That was it. No laughter, no hesitation, no silent judgment. When Ray finally revealed himself later that day, the reaction wasn't panic or embarrassment. It was pride. That night, Ray sat on his porch with his wife Diane, watching the sun sink behind the fields. "Do you think it was worth it?" she asked. Ray took her hand. "Worth it isn't the word," he said. "Necessary is." He looked out at the land that had taught him patience and the world that had tested it. "Change doesn't come from anger alone," Ray said softly. "It comes from courage, from staying standing when the room wants you smaller." The story of Raymond Jefferson wasn't about money. It never was. It was about being seen before being believed, about dignity before status, about choosing humanity when power finally listens. And now, before we end, let me ask you something. How did this story make you feel? Do you think Ray did the right thing by choosing accountability over revenge? If this story moved you, comment 111 below and tell us which country you are watching from. And if you believe stories like this matter, please share this video so more people can see it. Sometimes the quietest voices are the ones that change the room forever.